Hi there, and a very warm welcome to It Is What It Is with Wamoyo Favor the Captain. Welcome to the month of July. Nataka kumthank tu sana for your support towards the show. Thank you so much for the views, the shares, the likes, and the subscriptions. May the Lord do well. You can follow us on Facebook. Now, my Facebook handle has changed. It's no longer Kingly Favor Studio Reloaded, but Wamoyo Favor, aka Wamoyo Wa Media. YouTube at Kingly Favor Studio. Instagram at Kingly Favor Studio Reloaded. TikTok at Kingly Favor Studio. Now, tunaendelea na the types of sexual immorality. Today, we are going to look at 3 types of sexual immorality that are closely related. The first one we are going to look at is pagan sexual activity. What is pagan sexual activity? This is some form of sexual interaction that is not necessarily for pleasure. It is usually directed towards some purpose, e.g. prosperity or strength, guidance, and some sort. So you find that the people who come together to involve themselves in sexual pagan activity, they don't do it for pleasure. They do it because they want to achieve a certain purpose. Their energies are directed towards a certain purpose. So that is what pagan sexual activity is all about. And this is one act that is so detestable in the eyes of God. Because we said, if we want to know something is pleasing unto the Lord, it has to be according to the way He wants it. And we said the right form of sex, or the proper form of sex, is the kind of sex that God has instructed us to engage in. So if you find yourself engaging in any form of sexual activity that is not within the confines of the Bible or in line with what God has said, you automatically know that that form of sexual activity is wrong. So remember, we have said sexual pagan activity is directed, the energies involved or the parties involved, they usually direct their energies towards a certain purpose. For example, healing, prosperity, growth, etc., etc. So we are going to look at biblical examples of pagan sexual activity. This is one kind of activity that was heavily engaged in the times of old, or in the days of old. And we are going to look at Exodus 32. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods who will go before us. And for this fellow, Moses, who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing and bring them to me." So all the people took off their earrings and brought them to Aaron. He took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you out of Egypt." He built an altar in front of the calf and announced, "Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord." So the next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterwards they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. Now, these are the children of Israel. We all know how the Lord, through His mighty hand, delivered them from Pharaoh's hand. But these did not stop them from indulging into pagan sexual activity. Remember, we have said the sex involved in pagan sexual activity is a form of sex that is directed towards something. Now they go up to Aaron and tell him, "We don't know what happened to Moses. We need a God who is going to lead us where we are going." So the purpose of the children of Israel, they needed somebody who was going to guide them. They needed a God who was going to shed light unto them, because they did not understand what happened to Moses. And so Aaron gave in to their plans. And this version, there are other versions that clearly or openly says that they rose up to play, meaning they rose up to engage in sexual activity. Now, this form of sexual activity, which involves even some form of offerings, is what we are calling pagan sexual activity. And this form of activity is so gross before the Lord. That is why when Moses came and saw what the children of Israel were doing, he was so angry, he cast down the 10 commandments. It was such a horrible thing in the sight of God and also in the sight of Moses. And we all know what transpired from that story. So pagan sexual activity is a form of sexual immorality that is not pleasant to our God. Another example of pagan sexual activity we are going to look at is found in Isaiah 57, 7-8, and we read, You have made your bed on a high and lofty hill. There you went up to offer your sacrifices. Behind your doors and your doorposts, you have put your pagan symbols. Forsaking me, you uncovered your bed. You climbed into it and opened it wide. You made a pact with those whose beds you love, and you looked into their nakedness. You went to Molech with olive oil and increased your perfumes. You sent your ambassadors far away. You descended to the grave itself. You were wearied by all your ways, but you would not say it is hopeless. You found renewal of strength, and so you did not faint. Remember, wale huwa wanaji-involve in sexual pagan activity, their strength is found in the sex itself, the activity itself. They find strength in that. Remember, we said this form of activity has a purpose. It is not for pleasure. It is not for gratification. It is driven towards a certain purpose. Kuna lengo. The form of sexual immorality we are going to look at is prostitution. Prostitution is a trade that has been ongoing since the day of old. And now, siku hizi, prostitution is not a big deal. It's happening in broad daylight. Kitambo, prostitution ilikuwa tu inafanyika jioni ama usiku. Sahi, from asubuhi. Yani, it's a 24-hour trade. People are engaging in prostitution without any apologies. Prostitution ni the art of trading your body for monetary value ama any other value. And worse still, kuna watu wao trade their bodies na they are not even benefiting. Yani, their bodies are tools of prostitution. And in the modern world, mali tumefika, this is such a trade yenye imefanywa on a high scale and on a professional mode. Mpaka prostitutes wame package their services. I was in town the other day, and street yenye nilienda ni street yenye imeja prostitutes. And they are not even afraid of advertising their services to the clients. They are breaking it down for them. Ata hawaogopi. They are trying to sugarcoat it so that the clients can be attracted more and more. They are trying to convince them why they should take up their services. Imekuwa that bad. Prostitution imefika hapo. Yani, they are literally going for their clients on the street. Some even grabbing their hands. It's that bad. Yani, imekuwa ni kuhustle. You know, the way people are hustling, imekuwa even for them, prostitution, yani ni kuhustle. Like, you know, the way you wake up and you go like, today I'm targeting clients hawa na hawa na hawa. I need ati by the close of day, nikuwa nimeget not less than 10 clients. It's the same with the prostitutes. Wana target, you know, today, by the close of day, lazima nikuwe na not less than this and these clients. You know, so they really have to be, yani wako too aggressive. They have to hit their target. It is that bad. So this is a type of sexual immorality that imekuwa so rampant. We are going to look at biblical examples of the same. And the best book we can refer to is the book of Hosea. Hosea was a prophet, but wife yake alikuwa adulterous stroke prostitute. Cause yeye hakuwa anaenda kutrade body yake for monetary or other benefits. Yeye tu alikuwa anajipeana, going to clubs, going wherever. Yani alikuwa mke wa anybody. She was an adulterous wife stroke a prostitute. And imagine Hosea was a prophet. So you can imagine. So this thing of prostitution is something that has been there since the day of old. We used to have shrine prostitutes. Walikuwa wanakaa kwa shrines, wanagoja men wakipita, and they trade their services. You remember the story of Tamar and Judah? Tamar waited for his father-in-law kwa ile njia alikuwa napita. Why? Because like I've told you an example, hiyo street nilikuwa nimeenda, prostitutes wanakuanga wamejipanga pale. So in the days of old, kuna mahali kulikuwa kunajulikana, this is where the prostitutes camp. So if you want these services, you go to such a place. So Tamar alikuwa najua vizuri, father-in-law yake Judah used to enter prostitutes. So alijipamba kama prostitute na akasimama mahali anajua kuna kuanga na prostitutes. And that particular place ilikuwa area ya shrine prostitutes. They used to be called shrine prostitutes. So any man mwenye alikuwa anataka kwenda na prostitute alikuwa na wakuta pale. So Tamar alijieka kama prostitute, and Judah, because he was used to entering prostitutes, akalala na Tamar akifikiria ni prostitute. So sazile alipatia na token yake ama malipo yake baadaye, akatuma friend yake. Friend yake alimpelekea habari, I did not see the shrine prostitute. So there used to be those prostitutes walikuwa wanajieka giving services to people. We're also going to look at Hosea chapter 4 verses 10, and we read, they will eat but not have enough. They will engage in prostitution but not increase, because they have deserted the Lord to give themselves to prostitution, to old wine and new, which take away the understanding of my people. They consult a wooden idol and are answered by a stick of wood. A spirit of prostitution leads them astray. So prostitution is a spirit. They are unfaithful to their God. They sacrifice on the mountaintops and burn offerings on the hills, under oak, poplar, and terebinth, where the shade is pleasant. Therefore your daughters turn to prostitution, and your daughters-in-law to adultery. So there's a very thin line between prostitution and adultery. That is why we've said, wife ya Hosea, whose name was Gomer, alikuwa an adulterous woman stroke prostitute. So there's a very thin line between a prostitute and an adulterous woman. So God hapendi hii mambo ya prostitution, because like we said, our bodies ni tempo ya Roho Mtakatifu. We are custodians of these bodies. We should not trade with our bodies venye tunataka. These are vessels that we should handle with care. Tusijieke, tusijitie najisi. And we said, tunajitia najisi by having sexual encounters with the wrong people. If you're having sex with a person who is not your spouse, unajitia najisi. Any other thing, hata ikuwe sugar coated aje, ama ikuwe justified aje, it will never be proper before the living God, because he can never go against his word. If he says this is not proper, it is simply not proper. The last type of sexual immorality we are gonna look at is rape. Now, this is one thing that has really hit our country hard. Remember, Jesus alisema, whoever looks at a woman na lust after that woman has already committed adultery, has already committed sexual activity, or osha kuwa na sexual encounter na yeye. Most of the rape cases zina happening because a man ameshindwa kucontrol his sexual urges. Zina happen because a man ameona a woman na lust over a woman. Now rape is sexual intercourse bila consent ya one party. So every time you engage in sex, unaforce mtu into sex, and they have not consented into it, that falls under the category of rape. Na it is so unfortunate siku hizi, hata watoto wadogo, they are falling kuwa victims wa rape. Fathers are raping their children, their little children, even below 5 years. It is so sad. Just like prostitution tumeona ni spirit, even rape I think imeanza kuwa ni kama spirit, because what do you see in a little baby? What is this you have seen in that baby that has turned you on? If it is not a demonic spirit, what is it? What is this that can drive a father to rape their children? Even molest their boys? What is this that can make blood, heart blood, if it is not a demonic spirit from hell? Hizi stories za rape zimekuwa so many in our country. Zingine zimefunikiwa because wife find out husband yake amerape mtoi. Mtoi akienda kuambia mamake ama relatives anaambiwa nyamaza. What do you know? Yani kids are going through trauma. Kids are getting depressed. Kids are suffering. And my prayer to God is, may the redeeming angel protect our children. Wala watoto wamekuwa marked for sexual assault, for rape, may the redeeming angel cover our children. May they be protected from this sort of, sijui niite, this is, it's like an act of beasts. May the Lord protect our children from this inhuman act. So rape inafanyika kwa watoto wadogo. Rape inafanyika hata kwa watu wakubwa. As long as a person has not consented to the sex, that is automatic rape. Na tumeiona iki happen in our country. Some cases they have been ignored. Some cases inafuatiliwa haziendi mahali. So may the Lord help us. May the Lord deliver us from this spirit. May the Lord deliver us from this type of sexual immorality. Vile vile, this is a type of sexual immorality yenye ilifanyika na ilikuwa inafanyika in the days of old. Genesis 34, this is the story of Dinah and the Shechemites. Now Dinah, the daughter Leah had born to Jacob, went out to visit the women of the land. When Shechem, son of Hamor the Havite, the ruler of that area, saw her, he took her and raped her. His heart was drawn to Dinah, daughter of Jacob, and he loved the girl and spoke tenderly to her. And Shechem said to his father Hamor, let me get this girl as my wife. We all know history ya Dinah kurepiwa ilileta mambo mbaya sana. This is what resorted to the Levites kutoa hasira zingine, walikatakata ng'ombe na kujeruhi watu in a way that was so gross that Jacob akienda kukufa aliachilia tu laana over the Levites because of their anger. Akasema, cursed shall you be. But juu ya nini? Because of rape. Now at least hapa naona this person at least alikuwa gentle, akasema I will take this person, I'll take this girl as my wife. Unakumbuka story ya Tama? Tama ended up being desolate. Yani aliend up hakuwa yolewa. Cause life yake iliwestiwa hivyo, kurepiwa na half brother yake. Rape cases zilikuwa zinafanyika sana in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, because tumesema rape is sex without the consent of the other party. So the men used to identify new men in the city. They want to have sex with them. Hawataki kujua kama wana consent ama hawa consent. So rape cases zilikuwa zina happen sana. Another example we are going to look at is found in Judges 19. These people are behaving like the men of Sodom and Gomorrah. You remember the men of Sodom and Gomorrah when the angels of God came and the men of Sodom wakaona new men in the city. They didn't know they were angels. So walienda kwa Lot wakamshuniaji, those men, the new men, the freshers tumeona hapa, tunawataka, bring them out, we want to have sex with them. Now those guys venye walikuwa na behave ni the same way these guys were behaving. While they were enjoying themselves, some of the wicked men of the city surrounded the house. Pounding on the door, they shouted to the old man who owned the house, bring out the man who came to your house so we can have sex with him. The owner of the house went outside and said to them, no, my friends, don't be so vile. Since this man is my guest, don't do this disgraceful thing. Look, here is my virgin daughter and his concubine. I will bring them out to you now, and you can use them and do them whatever you wish, but to this man do not do such a disgraceful thing. So wako wanataka kutambua, wao wakiona mwanaume they want to have them, they don't want to know if kama anataka ama hataki. So this was automatic rape. But the man would not listen to him. So the man took his concubine and sent her outside to them, and they raped her and abused her throughout the night. Imagine. And at dawn they let her go. At daybreak, the woman went back to the house where her master was staying. She fell down at the door and lay there until daylight. Unfortunately, the concubine alikufa. So this man, mimi sielewi ni spirit gani na kuanga behind rape that is so inhuman. Now this man raped this concubine throughout the night and left her to die. Yes. That is how bad the spirit of rape is. That is how bad rape is. And if it grieves our hearts, how much more does it grieve God to see such acts happening on earth? Remember, nothing is hidden from him. Everything is laid bare. Macho yake yanaangalia to and fro. Not just look at the good people so that he can reward them, but he also sees the wickedness that is all over the earth. Those are the types of sexual immorality that we should stay away from. It is what it is. You can follow us on Facebook at Wamoyo Favor, aka Wamoyo Wa Media. YouTube at Kingly Favor Studio. TikTok at Kingly Favor Studio Reloaded. And Instagram at Kingly Favor Studio. So long. God bless you.